What's up, YouTube? ODST General back again with another Intersystem news. It's been a little while again, guys, and I do apologize. This seems to be kind of an ongoing trend, doesn't it? Where I say I want to be more consistent, and then something happens, and it goes months without me doing one of these videos. So I do apologize. It's been like 4 months since my last video, but because of that, the last 4 months have been pretty freaking crazy in terms of development from different parts of the community, and this is probably the biggest, most jam-packed one of these videos I have ever done. Honestly, some of the stuff in here is just absolutely insane. So let's go ahead and get started. I do want to put out a little bit of a disclaimer first, though, now that I think about it. Because it's been 4 months, I may have missed things. I'm definitely going to be condensing down on some things, so if I get anything wrong, forgive me, correct me in the comments, or hit me up on Discord and I'll correct it in the next video. And if I miss anything that you guys want me to talk about, let me know in the comments below or again on Discord, and I will, again, add that in the next video. Again, there is going to be a lot of stuff, though I am intentionally condensing, but yeah, if there's anything that you want me to cover, let me know. I'm happy to do my best to try and cover it. So anyways, starting us off with Operation Trebuchet, we have the SOCOM Pelican. This was made by I Live to Kit Bash. It features a remote gun turret on the back of the Pelican, which is crewed from a crew position just behind the pilot and co-pilot of the current Optray Pelican. It includes extended troop bay with additional seating in the back, a refueling probe, which I think is just aesthetic, but I'm really not sure how that would work. But maybe it works, I don't know. Improved radar modifications, and yeah, this was all done by I Live to Kit Bash. So it's a kit bash of the existing Pelican with stuff added onto the inside of it. Additionally, we got new Spartan armors and improvements to the existing Spartan armors that we had. This was done by a bunch of different contributors to Operation Trebuchet, both past and present. So there's a lot of awesome stuff in here. I was going to cover each individual helmet, but now there's so many helmets and armor pieces, I don't know where all of it came from. I know where some of it came from, but some of it I have no idea. So a lot of really awesome looking stuff there, a lot of extra variety. So if you have randomized Spartan set up, this is going to be something that is going to look really cool for some of you guys and add a lot of customization. Then we have the VX-19 pilot helmet that also got texture and model touch-ups. That was done by McDaniel and Lee. This one doesn't quite match color-wise with the armor that it comes with by default now. Or, I guess, I can't remember if it's default. I don't think it is actually default now I'm thinking about it. But it doesn't quite match the Halo 3 Marine armor that's in the game currently anymore in terms of texture color. But it still looks like a pretty great piece. That would be my only gripe with it. Otherwise, the changes and stuff are pretty awesome. Then also done by Lee, we have the Wildebeest. So the Wildebeest is a Fanon design based off the Mastodon. It looks very similar to it. It was added briefly onto the main branch for Operation Trebuchet, but it was removed because it wasn't ready yet. So this is available through the development branch of Operation Trebuchet. It is still a work in progress. I know that there's other variants, I believe. Well, I think there's other variants in progress, or at least other additions or changes are coming to this. Then we also had changes to the Falcon. So the Falcon is something we've talked about a few times now on the channel here as far as getting updates and stuff. So it's getting updated model and textures. Along with that, we are getting side gunners, which are going to be available on there and are pretty awesome. So if you guys want to do Space Vietnam, you will now have the Falcon to emulate that Huey where you're blasting Fortunate Son gunning down innies. And I love it. I really do. Removable turrets. So on the note of side guns, we have removable turrets on the mounted turrets. So you can now walk up to them. There's going to be a scroll wheel option. Depending on the settings for the server and everything, or the settings you're using, both infantry and Spartans can do this. Otherwise, you can prevent infantry or Spartans from picking up certain guns. There's a lot of different options you can do with this, but it's a nice little change. It does only work with the M247 turrets, so the M247T, the H, and the H shielded currently. Maybe we'll see this with additional turrets down the line. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not, but that would be kind of cool to see that with like missile pod or something. At any rate, guys, that is all for the turrets. Then we have the M12 Catfish, which has new variants including the anti-air, the ATGM, and Gauss variants. So yeah, basically, if there's a warthog of it, at least for the UNSC, there's now a catfish of it too. And it's definitely going to add a lot of variety to naval ops and like river forces and stuff like that, so that's pretty awesome stuff. Then we have the Owl. This is another kit bash of the Pelican made by, of course, I Live to Kit Bash. We haven't really seen too much of this one yet, just a screenshot from the front of it, which is a dark screenshot, and it's kind of hard to make out the details, but the Owl is a stealth vehicle. It's a stealth dropship used in the Halo books. It looks like it could be kind of different from the Pelican, but again, it's hard to say, so we'll have to wait and see on this thing what it actually ends up looking like and how it operates and everything, and what sort of other features and changes it might have. Alongside all that stuff, there's been a number of other, various fixes, changes to the mod. This includes Warthog resizing, hardpoint expansions for the Saber, turnout from the Mongoose, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff that Operation Trebuchet and Operation Trebuchet Dev Branch have gone through over the last 4 months. In addition to that, we then have Operation Trebuchet First Contact. So starting us off with First Contact, we have the Locust. So the Locust was announced. This was a publicly sourced model, and it's probably one you don't want to get too hyped for. It's obviously something that a lot of people would be very excited for. Unfortunately, this has been said to be a very low priority project, and whatever form it does come in probably won't be a fully realized vehicle or anything like that. If anything, it's more than likely going to operate as a turret. But honestly, what we've been told has all been very up in the air, I guess you could say. We really don't have any details on what the exact plans are for this, because I don't think the dev team itself knows what the exact plans are, and it's going to be one of those things that it's a project of opportunity. If somebody comes along and happens to do it, or somebody has some free time, here and there, they get bored with something, they might put some time into it, but it's definitely not going to be coming probably anytime soon, is the message we got when this thing was announced. Then we have the Pulse Carbine, which was added. Again, another publicly sourced model. And it's pretty cool stuff here. It's, it's one of those weapons that it just really adds to the variety of the Covenant and everything. Probably not my most exciting weapon to me, but still pretty neat. And, kind of a almost like a battle rifle with its burst mode. So that's kind of neat. Then the Needler was ported over from the first MEU and updated to Operation Trebuchet standards, or the current standard that they have. And, it's a pretty neat weapon. On top of that, it's also getting work for a Super Combine being done, which is being worked on by Nominee. And that's going to be pretty exciting, too, to actually have that. The only thing we'll be missing then is the tracking shot capabilities, which, as far as I know, are still kind of elusive to everybody. At least the way of properly doing it, I should say, is currently elusive. There's certain workarounds that people could do, and they just don't, because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Needle Rifle, that's also been added. So the Needle Rifle is in its very much work in progress right now, so it doesn't have all of its animations and everything, and I don't know what sort of plans for animations there are. With the Needler, as you expend ammo, the needles actually go down. With the Needle Rifle, that's not the case, so I don't know if there's plans for that, or if this is pretty much what we can expect with it. I assume that it will also get a Super Combine, with the Super Combine being done for the standard Needler, although it might just be the same count. I don't know the answer to that. The Needle Rifle does seem a bit more powerful in terms of straight raw damage output, so if that's the case, it might not matter if it gets a Super Combine. Of course, it still might. I don't know. I guess it depends on what sort of enemies you're facing. Then we have the weapon material overhaul for Covenant weapons, which was also done. So a bunch of Covenant weapons got upgraded in their appearance, and that's basically it. No model changes or anything, but materials and textures got upgraded. Jackal's got a bunch of love as well, so we got a bunch of Jackal shield variants and helmets and uniforms changes, so a number of different things to basically just add a lot of variety and flavor to the Jackals that you're facing off against, so it's not all the same Jackal. We also have the Ghosts that were added, again ported from the first MEU kit and upgraded to Operation Trebuchet material standards. So nice, great new looking ghosts. Operate just like we've covered previously on the channel. And it's going to be something that's nice that you don't necessarily have to do the first MEU aux mod now to access the ghosts. Additionally, we also have the Space Pickle, the Covenant Antimatter Charge. Now, this is a static object. Unfortunately, I was hoping for something that actually functioned as an actual bomb, but I didn't necessarily expect that to actually happen, but it would have been cool. With that being said, this is a great set piece. It looks really good. It's got some nice emissives, so it looks even better in the dark. Not much else to say about it, though, because it is just a static object, but a great set piece. McChaffee put out a new track, the Holy Icon Suite. Now, this is, unfortunately, music track, so I'm not going to feature it on my channel. Again, as I've said in the past, it's an issue of just trying to avoid potential strikes or claims and stuff on the video. It should be allowed technically, but people will still try to claim it, so it's just easier for me to not do that. And then finishing us off for First Contact, we have some work done by Division 7, which is the Silexes. Now, if you haven't played Halo Infinite, it features these things called Silexes, which are basically DNA templates of various species seen in the Halo universe. And I haven't seen anything on these in a little bit. The last time we saw them, or at least the last time I saw them, they were just 3D renders. They weren't in-game or anything like that, but a member of Division 7 said they had planned to donate these to Operation Trebuchet. Being that they are Forerunner objects or items, they will be going into First Contact if that is the case and they're accepted by the Optray team. So, a nice little set piece again. I'm sure this will end up looking really good once it gets in-game and, you know, the Optray Forerunner materials and everything. It's probably going to look really cool, again, in darker environments and everything with the emissives and stuff that'll go onto it. So we move over to the first MEU. The first MEU, starting us off, we have Covenant Holotable Assets. So basically, these are just downsized, pre-existing first MEU assets, Covenant assets, and they're treated just like the UNSC stuff. They're smaller versions, they're clear and blue. They look like the UNSC ones. Not much to say. Again, nice little prop. Great for briefings, stuff like that if you're doing the holotables. Then we have the updated CRS Cruiser. This was done by Venom. So this is basically, they had an existing CRS, and that's been kept in their mod, but an updated version with new materials and model and everything has been added in. It is a much better looking asset. Yeah, I believe this was done by Venom, and yeah, just a great looking asset. Again, a static ship prop, but a nice looking one. The first MEU also added the Covenant Stool, and for some of you guys this won't matter, and for some of you guys this will be the most exciting news because you're crazy. It's a stool. There really isn't much else to tell here. Again, it's a static prop object. I'm not sure who made it. I think it's nominated, but I'm not really certain. I didn't see any things credited, so I'm not really clear on that one, unfortunately. And then wrapping us up for the first MEU, one of their members, Taurus, teased a Halo Wars base turret that he was working on. Again, it's been a while since I've saw anything about this. The last time I saw it, it was 3D renders. They weren't textured or anything, so still very much work in progress. And because I haven't seen anything, I don't even know if this is still being worked on, but it is worth mentioning. Obviously, a lot of people would be very excited to have the Halo Wars base turrets actually added into the game. So we move over to the 19th Fleet, and the guys at the 19th are crazy, and this is some of the most exciting stuff for me in the 19th here. Starting us off, we have Demonic and his new longsword. So for those of you newer to the mod, the longsword was previously in Operation Trebuchet in the base mod, but was removed when a member of the dev team left the dev team. He pulled his assets when he left. And we've been without a longsword since then. The 19th previously put out a short sword, but it's not as cool looking as the longsword. I think it's part of what it is. The longsword's just a very cool looking vehicle. And the 19th has now put out their longsword. It's a variety of different versions of it, pretty much basically the same as what we had when Operation Trebuchet was running their version of the longsword. So very similar to them, different model and a bunch of different changes, but very, very awesome stuff nonetheless. And I'm sure some of you guys have probably already utilized this thing in your operations and stuff. And really surprised we haven't seen a lot more love for it since it released. Then we have a BR with a grenade launcher that was done by Splitjaw. So this actually came out prior to my last video, and I missed this when I did my last video. So, like I said, there's a lot of stuff, and because it's months between some of these videos, and it's so many different groups I'm trying to follow, stuff gets, dropped in the cracks, if you will. And this BR55 was one of them, so Splitjaw asked me if I could feature on the channel, and here we are featuring on the channel. Yeah, it's a BR55 with a grenade launcher, and I'm sure that's going to be really popular with some of you guys. Then we have another creation by Demonic, and that is a new frigate that he is working on. So this is the Stalwart class, I think. Actually, I'm not sure if it's a Stalwart, because Stalwart's a Halo 3. I'm not sure which class it is. I can't remember. I don't have the picture pulled up in front of me, and I'm questioning it. All the frigates are similar enough looking that when I don't have the pictures in front of me, I have a hard time distinguishing the classes off of memory. But anyways, this frigate's gonna have a full interior just like the Halberd destroyer that they did previously. So he's got the model that he's teased us with already, and he's kind of shown the planned layout in the interior and everything. It's safe to assume that this will basically have all the same features and amenities, so if you guys don't want to use the Halberd for whatever reason, this destroyer will be, or not this destroyer, this frigate will be a nice alternative to the destroyer. And for me, what is probably the most exciting, or second most exciting thing in here maybe, we have the new Pelican being made by Splitjaw. And I have waited so freaking long for a new Pelican variant. I've asked for this time and time and time again because I am incapable of doing it. And I am so excited for this asset now. The Pelican is one of the oldest existing vehicles in Operation Trebuchet. Pretty much everything else from the time this Pelican came out has been completely redone, and the Pelican has never gotten redone. People have attempted it, and it's just like one of those cursed assets which can't get updated because every time somebody tries to work on it, like their computer explodes or their life just completely falls apart or whatever else. Thankfully, Splitjaw has nearly completed this thing, and it features a bunch of awesome stuff. It's based off the Halo Infinite and kind of a combination Halo Infinite, Halo Wars 2 Pelican. It has an expanded troop bay. Unlike the SOCOM Pelican we talked about in Operation Trebuchet, this doesn't feature extra seating. The extra infantry will stand in the bay and basically hang on to the top. It also features a crew gunner position mounted in the back, so this is something that we've only had to attach to and stuff in the past, so that's going to be something a lot of people are very excited for, having some fire suppression as their infantry and stuff dismount from the Pelican and hot LZs. We have mounted weapons pylons on the side and a walkable floor in the center, though obviously that's not recommended during flight, but if you're landed on the Pelican you will be able to walk around on the interior of the Pelican, which is really crazy. Now, yeah, again, it's nearly done. In fact, it's so close to being done, I don't know if that will come out before my video or after the video. It's that close. But I'm really very much excited for it. And again, it's a great looking new asset, so I'm just super hyped up. It does, I think it features 24 troop base spots. There is also a Sergeant Johnson seat, I guess you could call it. Not sure what to call it, but basically there's a position behind the pilot and co-pilot where somebody can stand and they'll have their hand on the chairs and basically looking out the front window for an officer or somebody riding in the Pelican who's not back in the troop bay. On top of that, it will have maglock capabilities. It is based off the Operation Trebuchet maglock, not vehicle-in-vehicle. And the maglock will have, from what I've been told, probably increased support for additional vehicles that the Operation Trebuchet version won't necessarily be able to carry. Okay, so that is it for the 19th Fleet, but we are still not done yet. We've got 714 Patient Star. This is a monitor prop by Shinnon and Mr. Tomcat 95. Again, this is a static prop. Not much to say about it. If you want to monitor and you want this thing to work, you could probably do attach to and then make a drone invisible or something and do attach to on a drone with it and fly it around that way and to have somebody mimic being a monitor with Zeus or something crazy like that. Or you could just have this basically sitting in the background just floating as a static prop. It's a small thing, but again, as I've said a lot of times with the channel, small stuff like this can really bring together an op if used correctly, so I'm still pretty excited for it. I don't know if I'll utilize it personally, but I would love to see this get utilized a little bit more by the community. So then we have a return of an old favorite. Again, referring back to what I talked about earlier with a member of the OpTrade dev team leaving and pulling their assets. One of those assets that was pulled was the Sharon frigate Final Dawn. Now, the Final Dawn was a frigate that had interior set pieces. It never got completed. It was supposed to be a much bigger and grander thing than what it ended up actually being. It was supposed to actually be flyable or would fly in for fire support and all this other stuff, and it had interior pieces that have been designed or teased out for a version of the frigate with stuff that we ended up seeing on the Drake class, just, stuff like a bridge and armory and things like that. Instead, what we got was basically just the hangar bay on the bottom and then the side hangar bays with a couple of smaller interior sections and some small level of customization for an interior that never really got utilized by anybody from what it seems like, at least not very extensively in most cases. But that has made its return. Mead, in conjunction with Baseplate, basically went and they got permission to get this thing re-uploaded as an independent mod on the Steam Workshop. So they got permission from Zero and they got permission from the doc to re-upload this. And there's not much to say. It's the old frigate. It's a big asset with an interior. It can fit multiple vehicles. It's got some flaws. It doesn't have a lot of the features and qualities that more modern stuff has. The elevator on there seems to be broken, but it is a nice little set piece. Aesthetically, the textures and materials just don't hold up very well to today's standards, unfortunately. But if you need like an extra frigate you want in the background, or for whatever reason you don't want to use the Drake class, it's either not big enough, or just simply want a version that maybe has like a ship interior without the whole 19th fleet mod, this might be an alternative for some of you guys. And at worst case scenario, it's an older asset making its return, kind of immortalized, if you will, so you can always use it as just a museum set piece if you wanted to. Then we have Fireteam Zulu. I don't have much to show off here, but they did get Ace Extended Arsenal rework and a number of other updates. I'll post the patch notes on screen for you guys, but I don't have much else to say or show for that, unfortunately. New Mombasa. The news for New Mombasa is no news. There was some posts made after my previous video, and maybe there will be more after this, but it's more or less dead in the water. People were offering to do work for it and get stuff added in and updated, and then nothing ended up happening. No responses came, and it's been about 3 months, I think, since the last post in their Discord, so it's one of those things, it could always come back. I've seen mods come back from much further along being in, kind of a dead state, but it is always kind of a long shot after you haven't had anybody post for 3 months to actually get people back and organized and working at a reasonable speed that anything's actually getting done, so who knows. Then we have the Mechanized Scarab. The Mechanized Scarab is... oh man, this thing... I really don't know how to describe this thing very well. I would have to say, like, silly, but also impressive, I guess. For those of you unfamiliar with this Mechanized Scarab, it is literally a bunch of static building pieces put together by GEK to look like a scarab. And then some crazy guy, NJ Patman, made this thing a functioning scarab. So this is a Zeus module. You're able to call it in, and there's a bunch of different options. So either drop down from the sky or spawn in or whatever. And it will walk around. The building pieces that are used for its legs will move, and it will walk over stuff. As it walks over some buildings, it will knock them over and destroy them. It's brimming with guns, and it'll fire the guns at infantry and stuff. I put down like 4 or 5 infantry squads to try and fight it, and they just got decimated. The legs can be destroyed and putting it into a down state where you have to board it and destroy its core. in order to fully kill it, or you have to destroy multiple of its legs and stuff. So it's pretty freaking crazy. It's absolutely goofy. It's one of those things you look at, you got almost go like, it feels like it would have been easier just for somebody to have modeled and done the working Scarab in the game at that point. But the fact that they got this thing working and stuff, and it does look a little bit goofy, but honestly, given its massive size and the fact that it's brimming with guns, if you're actually facing off against this thing in the field, it is actually a bit intimidating to go up against, despite how kind of goofy it looks. And I think that in the right situations and settings, this would definitely be a very intimidating thing that you should be using against your guys in Ops if you're playing like Op 4 or Zeus or whatever. Then we have the Raya Armory mod, the one by McDaniel, Beeman, and Bins. This one has added a bunch of stuff. They have a full Halo 3 ODST set right now. They are currently working on the Halo Reach ODST body armor and I believe uniform. They've added the Gungnir Spartan helmet, the Halo 4 Scout helmet, the Gen 1 Air Assault, the Recon, the EOD, and they are working on a Halo Reach ODST helmet. They've also added in the Halo 4 SAW, the BR-55, the Mark 50 Sidekick, and the GRL-45 grenade launcher, which I believe is the grenade launcher from Halo Wars, but I'm not actually sure. It's a very sci-fi looking grenade launcher, which is pretty neat. They've also got the Raya HUD, and I forgot to look at this when I was doing all my video recording. I'm not sure if I'll have time to go back and check it out, but I assume it's like an ODST HUD, which is pretty neat, so it's something I need to get back around to actually check out and potentially show off to you guys. They've also announced that they are working on a Mark 5 Spartan helmet, and it is part of their initiative to basically get better looking assets and everything, so that's pretty neat. This is actually, now I'm thinking about, probably is the wrong section for this. It should be in the next section, which is the Raya Armory Project Orion mod, which basically takes all of the assets in the standard Raya Armory mod and upscales them to Spartans. Unfortunately, a couple of assets were also removed from the mod since I last covered it, specifically the Recon helmet, which I believe was based off of Halo 4. It might have been Halo 5. I don't know. But that one was hidden in the mod until a better model was made, so that one was pulled because the quality was nowhere near the standards of what they were using for the other assets at this point. Also, very, very unfortunate, because this is probably my favorite set of ODST armor. The Halo 2 Anniversary ODST and their spy helmets were pulled because they were ripped assets, unfortunately, and they didn't know that at the time. Once that was discovered, those assets were pulled. So, then that brings us down to the other Raya Armory mod, Tactical Gear and Equipment. This one by Scarecrow53 has added in the Halo Infinite Marine uniforms and some new ODST uniforms. The Marine uniforms come in a variety of flavors. They actually have both Marine and Army textures for them, depending on which flavor you prefer to have more. And honestly, these armor sets are probably some of the nicest looking assets you can get. I would even go so far as to say in Arma in general right now. I mean, they are absolutely fantastic looking assets, and if you guys are running as Marines or ODSTs, this is a set you almost certainly are going to want to utilize. It is just fantastic stuff, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what other sorts of equipment Scarecrow ends up putting out going down the road here. I don't know what his future plans are, but whatever it is, it will probably be very awesome. Operation Arsenal Expansion had some updates, various quality of life fixes and changes, some new spray paints. Again, I'll throw the patch notes up for you guys. Nothing super noticeable or flashy to show off to you guys, but if you do utilize stuff like the Spartan Laser and stuff, a lot of these changes are definitely going to be much appreciated. Then we have Optray Precursors, the Flood mod. The Flood mod actually got updated, so that was kind of a surprise, because, again, one of those things thought was dead in the water, and kind of a surprise update for it. Flood Dispersal Pod modules were added into Fire Support tabs in Zeus. This requires Cup, and I think it's Cup Core. It says Cup Terrains in the one, and then Cup Core is only required if you plan to use the in-house pod module. I'm not really certain, but basically it drops in a fleshy pod of Flood down from the sky to ruin the day of whoever you're dropping it onto. So anyways, it does require, like I said, COP support. Otherwise, if you are using Sci-Fi Fire Support Plus, it does not require COP, but it does have support for that. And my phone's ringing here, guys. I do apologize for that. And anyways, yeah, sorry. Distracted there for a second. Then we have the PF Energy Sword. This was done by Frost. The PF Energy Sword adds an extra energy sword. So there's a bunch of different energy sword colors and stuff. This is designed to support Webnite's Optray expansion, which was previously improved melee system Halo. That's been merged in with another mod that Webnite did, and I'll talk about that more in a minute here. Then we have Project Prometheus, the Spy Armor update. So Spy Armor's been updated to work for Spartan models as well as standard human models. So you have basically big green Spartan 3s running around in their Spy Armor with the golden visors, and then you now have a ODST variant is what it's called, which is the standard human version. Pretty cool stuff. As I said, the improved melee system that's been merged over with Webnite's Optray expansion again. And then that brings us to Webnite's Optray expansion. So Webnite's Optray expansion is probably going to be the biggest news for most of you guys. This is very, very awesome stuff if you fight the Covenant. It adds in grunts, it adds in hunters, and it updates the elites with custom AI and animations. The improved melee system has been integrated into this, so it has support for the energy sword and gravity hammer, custom plasma projectiles, obviously melee AI with the elites because it again adds the improved melee system. A lot of awesome stuff in here. It does have some limitations. The grunts and hunters aren't playable by humans. You know, there's limitations as far as setting them up with the weapons. You can't choose what weapons the grunts use. They auto-spawn in with the weapons when the script initializes. So there's limitations again, what vehicles they can be used and stuff like that. But with that being said, it is very awesome stuff, and it really makes it feel much more Halo. The grunts move like they do in Halo. The elites move like they do in Halo Reach now. Sitting there and recording this, just watching the elites sit there and like dodge around and do rolls and stuff. It felt really awesome, you know, the way they kind of run back and forth a little bit like they do in Halo Reach. It is awesome. It really adds a lot of Halo flavor to it, and you know, at the same time, it's not necessarily taking away from the realism aspect, like the interactions and how long it takes to take down some of these guys. So, very, very, very awesome stuff with Webnite's Optray expansion. Now, it's been said that this will potentially have updates. Webnite said there's a few things to potentially expect in the future. This is more AI behavior patterns and ambient animations. Ability for all custom skeletons to go into all vehicles from Optray. More weapons for Optray that will be supported for AI. Marines and Spartan AI are a possibility. And various other smaller changes that could potentially happen. Alright guys, so that is the Intersystem news, and now I've got to cut down about an hour's worth of footage and images and stuff, and I don't think I've even gotten everything in, and we gotta try and cut this down to about 30 minutes. But before we end the video, I do want to know, as always guys, what were you most excited for from today's video? There's a lot of great stuff in here, like I said. For me, I would say probably either the Pelican or obviously the Covenant. The Covenant, the Hunters, and the Grunts and stuff are really awesome. They've been out for a little bit though. I've still had time to get used to those, whereas the Pelican I haven't, and again I've waited a long time for that Pelican, because the Pelican I've known was doable. The Grunts and Hunters, it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's probably not going to happen, so I didn't really hold my breath for it. The Pelican I've been holding my breath for a long time, because it's obviously something that could, I don't want to easily happen, but it's something that could definitely happen. But I do want to know what you guys are most excited for, and I also want to know what you guys want to see next from the community. What are you guys most excited for to potentially come down the road? Now we have Hunters and Grunts, Webnite's discounted drones and brutes, but what sort of other changes would you guys potentially want to see or see somebody integrate? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.